we see it as eternal, unmoving, a perfect mountain of stone in the desert. But this monument shouldn't exist. 2.3 million blocks of limestone, some weighing as much as 80 tons, stacked with a precision so absolute that modern engineers with all their machines still cannot fully explain how it was done. To understand the impossibility of this work, we have to go back nearly 4,600 years, to a time when iron had not yet been invented, when the wheel was barely used in construction, when mathematics as we know it was just being born. And yet, on the desert plateau of Giza, the ancient Egyptians built the tallest structure on Earth, a title it would hold for the next 3,800 years. This is not just the story of a tomb. It is the story of a civilization that, with rope and copper and sand, reached into the sky and never let go. In 2580 BC, Egypt was at the height of its power. The Nile flooded with predictable abundance every year. Grain filled the royal granaries. And on the throne sat a young pharaoh whose ambition would echo across millennia. Khufu. Known to the Greeks as Cheops, Khufu was the second pharaoh of the 4th dynasty. His father, Sneferu, had already pushed the boundaries of architecture, building 3 pyramids and perfecting the geometry that would define an era. But Khufu wanted more. He wanted his name to be carved not just into stone, but into the sky itself. The site he chose was the Giza Plateau, a flat limestone shelf rising above the western bank of the Nile. The bedrock was solid enough to bear an unimaginable weight. The Nile, just a few kilometers away, would serve as a transport highway. And the western horizon, where the sun set each evening, was sacred ground, the realm of the dead. The pyramid would not be just a monument. It would be a machine of resurrection, a stone gateway through which a god king would ascend to join the stars. The first task was the most invisible and the most important. Before a single stone could be placed, the foundation had to be perfect. Then they did something that, even today, defies belief. They leveled the base, by hand. The result is staggering. The foundation of the Great Pyramid, measuring over 13 acres, is leveled to within just 2 centimeters across its entire surface. Modern construction crews, using lasers and computers, struggle to match this precision today. But how? The leading theory is breathtaking in its simplicity. The Egyptians dug shallow channels across the entire site, filled them with water, and used the natural level of the water to mark a perfectly flat horizon. Then they cut the stone down to that line. No machines, no technology, just water, patience, and a civilization that understood. Perfection at the base meant survival at the summit. The cardinal alignment is even more astonishing. The 4 sides of the Great Pyramid are aligned to true north, south, east, and west, with an error of less than 1/20th of a degree. The Egyptians had no compass. They had no GPS. They aligned the foundation to the stars themselves. Once the foundation was complete, the real challenge began. 2.3 million stone blocks needed to be quarried, transported, lifted, and placed. The bulk were limestone, cut from quarries directly south of the construction site. But the largest and heaviest stones, the great granite blocks of the king's chamber, had to be brought from Aswan, over 800 kilometers away. Each granite block weighed up to 80 tons. To move them, the Egyptians used the Nile. During the annual flood, when the river swelled to its highest level, massive wooden barges would be loaded with stones at Aswan. They drifted north for weeks, until they arrived at a specially constructed harbor at the base of the plateau. The blocks were transferred onto wooden sledges. Teams of 20 workers would haul them across the desert. And here, archaeology has revealed one of the most elegant secrets of the entire build. The Egyptians poured water onto the sand directly in front of the sledges. Wet sand reduces friction by more than half. A papyrus discovered at the Red Sea port of Wadi al-Jarf, the oldest written document ever found in Egypt, describes this process in detail. Written by a foreman named Merer, who supervised stone deliveries to Khufu's pyramid. But how did the workers raise these blocks, some weighing as much as small houses, hundreds of feet into the air? This is the question that has divided archaeologists for over a century. The most accepted theory is the use of ramps, massive earthen and brick ramps built alongside the pyramid as it rose. A single straight ramp into the desert, a spiraling ramp wrapping around the pyramid, an internal ramp hidden inside the structure itself. Each theory has supporters, each has flaws, but all of them require something all archaeologists agree on: an immense, disciplined, organized workforce. For decades, the legend persisted that the pyramid had been built by slaves. Hollywood embraced the image. So did Herodotus, the Greek historian who visited Egypt centuries after the build. He claimed 100,000 workers labored under the lash for 20 long years. But modern archaeology tells a very different story. In the 1990s, just south of the pyramid, archaeologists discovered something extraordinary. A workers' city, a vast settlement that had once housed the men and women who built the Great Pyramid. The evidence is staggering. Bakeries that produced thousands of loaves of bread per day, breweries, granaries, a medical infirmary, cemeteries where the workers were buried with honor, their skeletons showing healed broken bones, proof that they had been treated by physicians. These were not slaves. They were skilled craftsmen, paid laborers, and rotating teams of farmers who came to work during the months of the Nile flood, when their fields were underwater. Graffiti found inside the structure, scrawled by the workers themselves, reads phrases like, "The Friends of Khufu Gang," "The Drunkards of Menkore." These were teams. They had names. They had identity. They were not slaves. They were Egypt itself, building Egypt's greatest monument. For 20 years, the work continued. Modern engineers calculate that to complete the pyramid in 2 decades, a single block would have had to be placed every 2 minutes for 20 years straight. The pace alone defies belief. The blocks rose, the ramps grew, the pyramid took shape. And inside, hidden from the world above, the most sacred chambers of all were taking form. We see the pyramid as a solid mountain of stone, but it is not. Inside its body lies a network of corridors, chambers, and shafts, a labyrinth designed not for the living, but for the journey of a king into the afterlife. The entrance is on the north face, hidden 17 meters above the ground. From there, a narrow descending corridor cuts through the limestone at an angle of 26 degrees, leading deep into the bedrock. Halfway down, the path branches. An ascending corridor rises through the heart of the pyramid, narrow and steep, until it opens into one of the most extraordinary architectural spaces in the ancient world. The Grand Gallery. 8.5 meters high, 47 meters long, built with massive limestone blocks corbelled inward, layer by layer, until they form a soaring, vaulted ceiling. The walls are polished smooth. The acoustics are eerie. Even the most experienced archaeologists fall silent when they enter. At the top of the Grand Gallery lies the King's Chamber, a perfect rectangular room of red granite, lined with 9 massive granite slabs forming the ceiling, each weighing up to 80 tons. Above the chamber, hidden from view, are 5 additional relieving chambers, engineering marvels designed to redistribute the unimaginable weight of the pyramid above and prevent the King's Chamber from being crushed. In the center of the room sits an empty granite sarcophagus, carved from a single block of stone, wider than the entrance to the chamber itself, which means it was placed inside before the pyramid was sealed. It has never been moved, and Khufu's body has never been found. Two narrow shafts extend from the king's chamber, angled precisely toward specific stars in the night sky. The southern shaft points to Orion's belt, believed by the Egyptians to be the home of Osiris, god of the dead. The northern shaft points to the circumpolar stars, the eternal stars that never set, where the pharaoh's soul could live forever. The pyramid was not just a tomb. It was a launch pad, a stone machine designed to send a god-king into eternity. The original pyramid did not look the way it does today. The structure we see now, the rough, stepped, ochre-colored monument, is only the inner core. The Great Pyramid was once entirely encased in polished white limestone, brought from quarries at Tura, just across the Nile. Each casing stone was cut to such precision that the joints between them, even today, are too thin to slip a sheet of paper between. The surface was so smooth, so reflective, that under the Egyptian sun, the pyramid would have glowed like a beacon, visible from over 50 kilometers away. Greek and Roman travelers described it as the most beautiful sight in the known world. But over the centuries, tragedy struck. A massive earthquake in 1303 AD loosened the casing stones. Within a few decades, sultans and rulers began stripping the limestone to build new mosques, fortresses, and palaces in Cairo. The shining mountain was slowly stripped bare. What we see today is the skeleton of what once was. And yet, even stripped, even weathered, even after 4,600 years of wind, sun, earthquake, and human plunder, the Great Pyramid still stands. The capstone is missing. The casing stones are gone. But the body of the monument has not moved a single centimeter from its original alignment. It survived the fall of Egypt. It survived the Roman Empire. It survived the rise of Islam. It survived the Crusades. It survived Napoleon. It survived 2 world wars. While civilizations rose and fell around it, the pyramid simply waited. Today, more than 14 million people visit the Giza Plateau every year. They stand at its base and look up, and they feel something that is hard to describe. Not just awe, something older, something that sits in the bones. The weight of time, the silence of a civilization that, with rope and stone and the strength of human hands, built something that would outlast every empire that has ever come after. 2.3 million stones, 30,000 workers, 20 long years, one pharaoh's vision. And 45 centuries later, it still stands. If you want to discover how the world's other great wonders were built, stone by stone, hand by hand, subscribe to Stonelapse, because every monument has a story, and we are bringing them all back to life.